2、1。
Mic check 1 2, what it do? Welcome back to the Mic Check Podcast. This is T Word, the People's Champ. Today we're talking about Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford and the likelihood of a rematch between the two fighters anytime in the near future. Before we get into the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and then drop a comment when it's over and let us know what you think about the content. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So after a much anticipated matchup that went down in July, ended up being very lopsided, leaning in favor of Terrence Crawford in a major way. A lot of people felt like a potential rematch, even though in the beginning we were talking rematch and trilogy. And then after seeing how things played out, a lot of us felt like, okay, number one, this can't happen again at 147 pounds. And if it does, it can't be $85, and we're probably not going to tune in. So we shifted our sights to them rematching at 154 pounds. Both fighters expressed some struggles making 147. Even Terrence Crawford, you could look at his physique when he headed to the ring, or even before, he's definitely filled out to 147 and probably outgrown the division, but both men had undisputed in their sights, so they were going to squeeze down to 147 at least one more time and get the biggest fight of their careers. For Errol Spence, I think maybe he was 3 years past his run at 147, but at the end of the day, he got in the ring, he gave it his very best, and it just wasn't enough. Now, some of us, like myself, my guys at AM Sports Media, and other people who cover boxing believe that at 154 or even 160, if they went toe to toe, you give Errol Spence a better chance of making the weight in a healthy way. And we believe it to be a more competitive fight. Not saying that it's going to be a victory his way, but I think some of the issues that you saw, specifically him not being able to use his style of bringing strength to the table, being the bigger, stronger fighter, the one advantage we felt he had, he didn't come to the ring with that advantage at all. In fact, side by side in the ring, they kind of looked the same size. And that was the first time, besides the Kell Brook fight, that he looked about the same size as his opponent at 147. He just didn't look like a big welterweight that night. And it seems that maybe he didn't make the weight the right way, despite what he was saying before the fight. Maybe things just didn't go as the way it's supposed to in camp. I haven't heard anything else about the injury thing that I was told early on after the fight, so I don't think it was because he wasn't sparring. He was making a lot of the same mistakes that he's made in most other fights. He just didn't have his one, main weapon to use, which was, I'm going to be stronger than you, and then I'm going to eventually break you. I think at a higher weight it works. The problem now is that, number one, you can't really sell the fight because there's not enough being said about a rematch. And then it doesn't sound like the promoters involved are too keen on the fight. A lot of people didn't want the fight to begin with. When you think about it, Spence told everybody in the world, this fight is happening because of me. I'm the one that decided we wanted to do this. And, you see how it turned out. Maybe they knew some things nobody else knew. Maybe they knew he wasn't going to be able to make the weight right, but he was trying to get to that bag, and they were trying to talk him out of it and maybe set up other big money fights like Canelo or something like that. Like, if you're going to take an L, take it in a dare to be great scenario where people don't hold it against you, but you lose to Terrence Crawford. People are going to just say, hey, you aren't who we thought you were. And that's kind of been the narrative since then. If the executives at Showtime and the people at PBC just don't believe a rematch is worth it financially, it's not going to happen. And then Terrence Crawford actually holds the trump card because he could simply say, man, either make 147 or shut up about it. And I believe that's the route that things are going to go. So if there's a rematch at some point, it ain't going to be no time soon. And it's going to be at a much higher weight. In my opinion, I think it'd be at 160 because it makes sense for Terrence Crawford to maybe have another fight and then, get up to 160 and fight Spence sometime next year, because then he'll be closer to 168 if he actually is planning to fight Canelo, and he'll get a chance to acclimate himself at a higher weight. I mean, I think they both could jump to 160, though. I think Errol Spence would be more of a natural fit there. I think Crawford could do it in his next fight against like a Lara or somebody of that pedigree. Not one of these vital. Like, I don't think him and Adonis need to get in the ring at 160 right now, or him and Maul or something like that, But at the end of the day, I think that maybe a year from now, if he and Spence want to rematch at 160, I think it will make sense. And people might be interested in that because they like to see Crawford at that weight. They like to see if Errol Spence is going to be stronger at that weight. And I think that'll be his more natural fit. As I said in the past, I thought that he could bypass 154 and go right to 60 and do something. He's just not going to be ranked there. He's already ranked at 54, and he might have more designs on trying to get a Tim Tszyu fight, or maybe even go fight Mendoza or something like that. Maybe go fight Brian Castaño, somebody he's faced in the amateurs, and see how that plays out. But what do you guys think about these two fighters? Do you think that maybe they could stall things out and maybe rematch again at a much higher weight at 160 instead of doing that 154? Just, it's not going to be for undisputed anyway. Might as well go up there and try to get a better bag, right? So let me know what you think in the comments. This has been T for the Mike J Podcast. Until the next time I'm out. Peace.